Hi, welcome aboard, my Frenchie. This is me, 143. If you don't have a friend, you have one now. Hi, welcome, welcome, welcome. If you're here, I am happy that you are here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Today is Petloss Tuesday. Welcome. I am happy that you are here. Welcome. I am so glad that you're here. Sorry that we did not have our show on this past Friday, but we will be having one this next Friday. So sorry about that. We had a little bit of a delay this past Friday, but we are moving on to this. Oh, yay, Dave is here. Hey, happy Tuesday, Dave and Violet. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hello, hello. Beautiful moderators on. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Oh, I've got hair all over the place here. So, oh, thank you. Just got it done today. Thank you. Oh, Michelle is here. Michelle and Bubba are here. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Today is a special edition. Aaron's here. Hello, Aaron. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hello. Happy to see everyone. Hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Glad everybody is here today. Yay, yay, yay. Got some special things planned for today. So, you know, kind of a interesting little topic. So, you know, one that actually kind of hits us all. So, you know, and it deals with pet loss and, you know, so, you know, we kind of touched on it a little bit last Tuesday, but, you know, we're going to dive in a little bit deeper because it's one that's really important and, you know, just something I think that we all kind of navigate through every once in a while. So, and it's, again, very, very, very important. So, but yeah, it's, you know, it should be a fun discussion. So if you're new here, throw your name in the chat. You know, if you've lost somebody recently, glad you have found us. If you've lost somebody, you know, in the past or, you know, whenever you have, we're happy that you're here. We're happy that you found us. So again, I always say, if you don't have a friend, you have one now. You know, you're always welcome. You know, everybody is always welcome. So glad you found us. But only rules that we have here is that everybody's respectful to each one, you know, everybody, and just, you know, join the family. So glad you found us. Happy that you're here. So welcome, welcome, welcome. We've had a couple beautiful, beautiful days. Thank God. That has just been wonderful here. How's the weather in New Zealand and Canada right now? We've had a really, really nice few days here. The rain has finally stopped. So that's been kind of nice. We're finally getting our summer weather. So that's been kind of a blessing. So kids were out of school. That's been very, very nice. Oh, you've had beautiful weather too. See, isn't that nice? Oh, gosh. I was just before the show, I always have to let the dogs out before the show starts. If not, then they kind of go crazy and do all sorts of, you know, not like they're not going to do, you know, crazy stuff when the show goes on, because as you know, that, you know, when we've had shows before, either they'll, you know, kill each other or they'll throw up or they'll knock things over or, you know, whatever they decide to do. But I always try to, you know, put them out before the cameras start rolling. See, we already lost somebody after I said throw up. But anyways, so, you know, you just never know what the girls are going to decide to get into when when things start rolling. But I always try to put them out. But I was standing out there before we started, you know, before he started coming down to the studio, and I was standing out there. I'm like, man, it's really nice out. So, oh, look, we got him back. So that's good. Maybe the throw up didn't really set him off too much. But anyway, so hello, hey, Kim's here. Yay. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hello, hello. But yeah, I was standing out there like, man, is it nice out? So I may attempt to take the girls for a walk today. It is in the 80s, so I may have to break out the stroller because, you know, Coco gets a little sensitive when it comes to walking. Now, I will say, Dave, I did get her a new harness, and she is in a, what is it? The escape. It's a harness where she can't escape. So hopefully she won't break out of this harness. But needless to say, it is like almost 80 degrees. And Coco, even though she had that surgery, she just doesn't do well in the heat. So I don't know. Coco's kind of prissy too, so I still might throw them in their stroller because they still like riding in their stroller. I know Rosie does, regardless. Escape proof, yes, that's what it is. So, so I did get her an escape proof harness, and which again, like I mean, she gets out of them, but she doesn't really know what to do when she does. But either way, I don't want her escaping out of anything. But she does. Yeah, right. She is very smart. But they do like their stroller. That is one thing that I've got to say. They do when they sit in their stroller. They do like their stroller. Now, when we went to Gatlinburg, the only time that they had an issue in Gatlinburg was when I was pushing them in their stroller. It figures. I mean, my freaking luck. I was pushing them and I was trying. It was so hot. It was so hot. And I was trying my best to get them to the car because I'm very, very, very overly like cautious with them out in the heat. And, I knew the temperatures were rising and I wanted to get them, out of the heat. And so I was, to the point where I was to the point where maybe I was just over panicked or whatever, but I wanted to get them to the car and in the air conditioning and so forth. So, I put them in their stroller and I'm like kind of like booking it to the car and their stroller and like sure as shit, right? Like I'm like booking it with the stroller and there's people all around, which is fine, right? Out of nowhere, like literally out of nowhere, like a pigeon, like I swear to God, Jesus like sends down a pigeon, like out of nowhere that flies over the stroller. And of course, Coco sees it and has to jump out of the stroller. No bird anywhere in the area, yet somewhere out of the vast nothing, a pigeon comes into our eyesight. And so, of course, then Coco has to jump out of the stroller after this pigeon. So that was the only time we ever had a problem with the stroller and her jumping out. But nonetheless, I got her back in the stroller and we made it. But that was the only time she ever attempted to jump out of the stroller. But and she was fine. She didn't get hurt or anything like that. But it like, threw me for a loop. And I think, probably scared the hell out of the pigeon too. But nonetheless, yeah, it's the first time she's ever attempted to do something like that. So, and she did get to the car safely and life was fine. But that was also before her surgery and, where she was still like breathing really heavy, and that is one thing I am kind of interested in seeing now that she has had that surgery. I want to see how much easier it is going to be able, she's going to be able to breathe in the heat this year. Now, granted, I'm not going to keep her out in the heat because I'm still very, very cautious with that. Just with that breed, I don't like to take chances anyways. I don't need to risk anything. I don't like to be in the heat anyways. So, me and my dogs, we don't like to be in the heat. I like that, I like the sun, but I don't need to be overheated either. So, birds of a feather flock together, right? So anyways, now the fun fact, June is Pet Loss Memorial Month. I thought that was interesting. Didn't know that. So they say light a candle for Pet Loss Memorial Month, which we will do at the end of the show, like we do every Tuesday. So that is good. We will do that. So I thought that was really good. So yep, at the end of the show we will do that. But I was not aware June is Pet Loss Memorial Month. Thought that was really cool. And so we've got that going on. And one of the things that I thought we would talk about is, let me bring this up too. I just looked down and looked at it. Since we didn't have Frenchie Friday, I had my, this is really cool. I work with such wonderful people. Like I said, I'm at my other like real job in life. I'm a supervisor and I have wonderful people that are on my team and so forth. And they look at this, like, look at this. They got me. These are little towels for your bathroom. And I swear, either like, these are little French bulldogs on little bath towels. Is that not the cutest damn thing in the world? So that was going to be like my little Frenchy Friday thing. But is that not cute? Little Frenchies. And I swear these people that I work with, so cute, so darn cute. But little bath towels, so darn cute. And I, at least like once a month or whatever, they show up with something on my desk, whether it's some sort of statue or something. And it's funny because they always ask me, they're like, do you have a statue? Do you have this or that? And, of course, like, everything in my house has something, French bulldog related or something on it. And I will never turn down anything French bulldog related. I love all of it, and you can never have enough. So, which, I'm sure my family just, just absolutely loves. But yeah, these were just absolutely adorable. So these will go in one of my bathrooms because it's just absolutely, I love it. Love it, love it, love it. So anyways, moving right along. So one of the things that was kind of a hot topic. Oh, before I jump into that, last Tuesday, I brought up, it was moved on me. Remember in my last show, I had showed that stuffed dog that had the sound of my dog, Harley, that had passed away in it. And I had mentioned that one of his things was he was very attached to my son, and they were like peas in a pod. And so when my son was a baby and he had started walking and so forth, and we have stairs in my house, he would sit like, 2 or 3 stairs up and would literally block the stairs, not allowing my son to get up those stairs. And I actually found that picture the other day, and that's my son at the bottom. And this is that dog. I mean, and the dog was not, maybe he was a year old, but that dog would not allow my son up past a few stairs. And he like would sit there and like block his body on those stairs. Now, granted, I was a good parent too. I wasn't allowing my son up the stairs either. However, it was just always so neat to me that that's how much that dog watched over, that little boy. And that shows you right there, I always say that, kids and animals should always grow up together. I firmly believe that, whether it's dogs, whether it's cats, I believe that, there's a bond between animals and kids. And, those two had a very, very good bond. And they, that dog loved that little boy, and that little boy loved that dog. And he did, he watched over him and vice versa. But yeah, that he would not let him up those stairs. He would not let him get hurt. But yeah, I found that picture this the other day, and I just always remember that, how he would never, let him get past him on those stairs. And it's like he knew he wasn't gonna, let him get hurt. So I thought that was kind of cool that I finally ran into that picture. So anyways, so moving on. So I found that, and I'm like, oh, I had to show that because I found that. But anyway, so one of the topics that I was running into this week was, one of a kind of important one. And I think, Erin, I even ran into it on your page as well. There was a young lady that she had just had one of her dogs put down, and her friend was with her, and she was awfully upset because her friend was a very good friend, almost best friend or whatever, and said some very insensitive comments, right? And so the theme tonight is, what happens when your best friend, or your ride or die, maybe it's your best friend that you've had all your life, what happens when they don't get it, right? What happens when, and this is, could be a person that maybe, same thing. I've got a, best friend that I have a best friend that I've had since I was 4 years old. We have two totally different opinions on animals, right? So say, okay, here's a good example. Okay, say you've got all your best friends, right? You have all your best friends, you have you have your sleepovers, you have your movie nights, you think you know everybody, right? You all, maybe hang out, you watch the same movies, you do all the same things, right? Um, but a lot of times you may differ on different things. You have different opinions. Um, and maybe you don't find out about it until uh, something serious happens, you know, like a death. And um, what then? Um, what do you do? You know, we, what happens? It's hard when you find that out. Now, with that being said, in that situation with that one young lady, her best friend was there for her, went to the appointment with her, sat with her, but then came to a point where he was kind of tired of hearing the stories, and that happens. That happens, right? And what happens when you get to the point where, okay, they're tired of hearing the stories. So you've had the sleepovers, and it's kind of like, all right, or maybe they're not. Maybe they're not friends. Maybe it's family. What happens if it's family? What do you do then? What's the answer then? You can't really cut family off, right? I mean, I don't know. Now, some people, I don't know. I answered the question, or I answered the lady's comment on that, because she was very hurt by the comments that her friend gave her, and I had said, I had said that it's hard. It's hard when your friends don't understand, and it's sad, but because sometimes, again, your friends aren't dog people, and I don't often feel that people speak with ill intent on purpose. I honestly don't feel that they speak with ill intent on purpose. But I don't know. Like, let me give you a good example. So, and this is okay. This is okay. Okay. Well, let me read Michelle's comment first, real quick. In my opinion, it's being self-aware that you're not being a burden. You know what? That's a very good point. That is a very good point, Michelle. And Michelle, with regards to your point, I think sometimes, like, that point right there is why people like myself, I don't a lot of times share my outward feelings with people, because I don't want to be a burden to other people. So when I get upset or things like that, I often kind of go away. I'm often like that dog that goes and dies in a corner, because I don't want to be a burden on other people. Or, like, when if when I have to take care of something, or if I had to, when I had to go, put my dogs down or whatever, I would prefer to do it by myself. That way I could carry that burden by myself and not have to make other people hurt with me, if that makes sense. Because I could kind of feel like I could carry that burden on my own. So I understand that completely. My best friend that I had spoken about, again, we are on two different pages with regards to pets. Now, I will be 100% transparent with you. I did not even know that. And granted, I've known her since I was 4 years old. And it wasn't until 2 summers ago, we were driving and we had just gone to Disney World with our kids. And I had asked her, because I was doing, I just started my YouTube channel, and I was doing some segments about people calling and talking about their pet loss stories. And I had some really good segments going. And I'm like, oh, what better person to ask than your best friend, have her call and give her, pet loss story. And we're in the car and I'm like, hey, will you call and give me a good pet loss story? And she's in the car next to me and she looks at me and she said, no. And I looked at her and I go, what do you mean no? And, it caught me off guard. And I'm like, what do you mean no? And she said, no. She said, I'm sorry. She said, that's just way too depressing. And I'm, and it's interesting. It caught me off, and it made me laugh. I'm like, what? I'm like, and I'm thinking, did she not realize, like how, like this is like my passion, and how much like this channel and everything means to me. And I started laughing, and I'm like, what do you mean you're telling me no? And she's like, no. She said it's too depressing, and I'm like, it's not depressing. It helps people. It helps heal people. And she's like, no, it's just too depressing. And she's like, plus she's like, I don't have that connection that you have when it comes to people losing their pets. And she's like, I don't look at it the same way you do. And I'm like, huh. I'm like, it interests me that that I didn't know that about her, which doesn't make her a bad person. It just, she just doesn't have that kind of connection with her pets like I do. And which is fine. I mean, some people don't, which is fine. And so, but what she did was she opened my eyes to another segment of my channel then. And she's like, because I thought, well, okay, well then maybe my channel doesn't have to just be all around like a pet loss segment. Maybe I can, and then that's when I started doing like the treat stuff and all that. I'm like, okay, well maybe I don't have to just do pet loss. Maybe I can do other things too. And so she opened my eyes to a couple different things on the channel. And, so she helped me with, other things too, just by kind of, opening my eyes to a couple different things. But, I guess I could have taken it as, being completely hurtful by her telling me no, which I was kind of like, well, you jerk. No, but I do. I love her to death. But it was interesting to me because after all those years, I never knew that she wasn't like, bonded to her pets like that. I was kind of like, you monster. No, I mean, no, I love her to death. And I would tell her that to her face, that she's a monster. No, but anyways, I remember you telling me, yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah, because right. Exactly. Yeah. Telling me this. Right. Right. Exactly. If that's the exact, if any, 100%, 100%. That is like not even a, it just, again, totally, she's a wonderful person, and we've been friends for a long time. But it was interesting just how you think somebody and you're just totally two different people. But I think sometimes, that's one of the things that they teach us, that if you find that you're in this situation where maybe you have that friend, and you get into that situation, you have to, oh, they call it a silent, they call it a silent disconnect. And basically what you're doing is you're taking that relationship and you're disconnecting it from, you're disconnecting the relationship from you looked at your relationship one way. So maybe, you had this all-encompassing friendship, but now you know that when you're going through a specific grief segment, that person won't be included in that part because they won't be that support in that area. So you know that when you're going through that part, maybe somebody else is going to have to step in for that, which is fine. They just can't be that support system for that one. So, and that's okay. Because not everybody's good at that, right? I mean, there's certain people that aren't good with the support system for that. So, maybe, you can't call the specific friend that's not good with crying. So, maybe you've got that friend that's, in New Zealand that's fun for, hanging out and partying, but maybe she's not good when you cry, right? Maybe her, your friend in Chicago and friend in New Zealand aren't good with crying. So maybe they're just fun for opening up a bottle of wine and watching funny movies, right? Those are the ones that you just gotta, they're the fun friends, right? So maybe those are the ones you just gotta stick to for that. And that's okay. I mean, because isn't that right? I mean, we do have category of friends. And I think that that's perfectly fine and that's perfectly acceptable. So, I think that that's, I think that's fine. I mean, would everybody agree on that? Even if, you consider them best friends, and that's the same thing with family too, right? I definitely think so, right? And then, for the ones that you know that you can go to and have your, oh, here comes a potato. Come on. And then for the one friends that that you can, open up to, and you can, call at 2:00 in the morning and cry to, or the ones that you can tell the same story to over and over again, or the ones that you can say, hey, can you please call so-and-so and tell them that I am not able to, just, could you call them and say, I'm not going to the Christmas party today? You can call in those friends and tell them, I am not, you call in those friends and say, these are the ones you can count on. It's just, and that's okay too. You just, you know how to then, section off your friends. But that's just the way that you protect yourself, right? You can go to New Zealand for one, and then Canada for others. You just learn to, find your people, right? You find your people, even, Aaron and his rollers looks good, I mean, and Kim looks great in her rollers. I mean, that's how you find your people. So, but again, I mean, that's how you make it work. That's how you make it work. So, anyways, but does everybody agree? Is everybody still with me? Oh, wait. Oh, did you see the, oh, did you see the rollers? Oh, do you see it now? Oh, there you go. That's right. Exactly. Exactly, Michelle. You find your tribe. You find the right groups of people, and exactly. You find the right groups of people, and you find the right groups of people. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And 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 you know, thank you. Thank you. You find the right groups of people, and but again, I don't I don't think that again, on a serious note, I don't think that people intentionally, especially if they're people that you've known for a long period of time, I don't think that they intentionally need to, or make you feel like that I don't think they intentionally make you feel that way. I just don't think that they understand, right? I just don't think that they get it. They don't understand because they've never been there. They've never had that unconditional love. Maybe they've never owned pets. They've never had that daily schedule. They've never had that life. They've never had the identity. I mean, we've talked about it before. Everything that goes into owning a pet. There's a whole life that goes into identity. Owning a pet. Once you bring in one of these guys into your life, you become a whole different person. A whole different person. You're no longer who you once were. First of all, you become you become broke because vet bills. But second, you become a different person. You're now waking up. You're now a dog mom or dad, or cat mom or dad, or a bird mom or dad, or whatever you are, or what you own. And your identity changes, and you soften as a person, or you become mean as a person because now you're overprotective. And if you're anything like me, it's different. And it just changes you. And I'm not gonna lie, I feel sorry for people that have never experienced that. But again, there's people that, again, like my friend, that they love their animals. There's no denying that. My friend loves her animals. But she doesn't get it. And then on the flip side, there's people that they understand it, but when you go through it, it's not their dog that they lost. It's not their cat that they lost. So they're kind of like, they can sometimes be insensitive too. Maybe, they're wondering why it's taking you so long to, get through your grief cycle. You may, I mean, some of your grief may have lasted longer on some of your animals than others. I know mine have. Some of my dogs, their grief lasted longer than, some of the other ones. And it has nothing to do with the love. I mean, I loved them all the same. And, I don't know. I think, honestly, I think a lot of it had to do. Uh-oh. I think some of it had to do with maybe the way that some of them left the world, maybe. I mean, like Sweet Pea, Sweet Pea lived a long time. She lived a long time on this earth. She passed a beautiful way. I mean, she had a beautiful long life. She had a beautiful passing. Um, and so I didn't grieve as hard with her because I think because everything about her from her birth to her passing to her life, it was just like it was just perfect. Like everything about it was just perfect. Whereas my Sammy, I mean, it was just like freaking rough, dude. From a start of his life until his his start of his life until he got real sick, until his bad heart attack. I mean, it was just like shit, man. That was hard. And I think when you put so much stuff in there, I think that's where a lot of the emotions come. And so maybe that's why same thing with Cookie. Cookie had she was young, and and then she went paralyzed, and I mean, there's a lot of stuff. I feel like I'm cussing a lot tonight. I'm sorry. I mean, there's a lot of stuff to unpack there, and maybe that's why. It just. I think maybe some of the the grief stuff or the longer grief stuff is because it's just there's a lot of unfairness, and so I don't know. I don't know. You guys tell me. Inside of your longer grief stuff, did any of that play a factor for you? Was any of that a factor? When we go back to the friendship stuff, even if you want to dive back into friendship, that was one of the friendship issues was my one friend came into town, and sh my dog Sammy was not supposed to get worked up, and she was staying. I told her, and this was prior to him getting sick, and she was. I invited her to stay at my house, and I totally forgot about it, and yeah, and so after he had gotten sick, she had called me and stated, she was like, hey, I came in, I'm coming into town, and she was staying at my house, and I'm like, oh man, I'm like, my dog's sick and he can't get worked up, and she's like, oh, I'm sure it'll be fine, and I'm like, oh, I don't know, I'm like, he can't get worked up, and and she's like, oh, I'm sure it'll be fine, and and she was a really, really good friend of mine, man, and 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 she came into town, and he same day she got there and came to my house, and he got worked up and went into cardiac arrest and died that day. And that was oh Lord. Yeah, I mean, that was one of the things, and that, I mean, she was a very, very good friend of mine. Still, I mean, still to this day is a very, very good friend of mine. But that took me a long time to forgive myself for that. But that was another thing that, I struggled with, because you can't, and I had to come to terms with that on the whole playing God thing, because I had to come to terms with saying to myself, Jen, you can't play God. You know, I could not play God and say that it was that situation that caused that. You know, because you can't, you know, could it have been that? Maybe 90% of the reason could have been that. But, you know, will I ever know 100% for sure? No. But would it drive me nuts for the rest of my life? Knowing that, yeah. Would it ruin my friendship with one of, you know, probably the nicest, greatest people on this planet? Absolutely. Does she deserve that? Absolutely not. But yeah, I can't play God. And, you know, that's one of the things that I had to come to terms with, because we never know. I mean, hell, we could drop dead right now. Right. I mean, that's the God, you know, that's the truth of the matter. Yeah, but that's a good example of friendship, right? You know, you just never know. And you know, just like anything, um, we're human, and humans don't always get things right. Um, you know, like I said, I always go with the theory that unless somebody's a real turd and they're, you know, intentionally out to get you, which my assumption is if they're a friend of yours, they're not, and they're, you know, not a narcissist. And I mean, if they're a friend of yours, I would hope you're not hanging around a jerk. But if they're a friend of yours, and they're there with you, and if you're at a euthanasia and this and that, or if you're at, you know, something where they're supporting you, I would hope to Christ that they're not, you know, intentionally hurting your feelings. Or I would hope that they're not one of those people that think that, you know, tough love is, you know, telling you that you need to get over it or get a new dog or some, you know, crap like that, because then they need to, you know, come to, you know, Jen's school on, you know, pet loss and support, because that's just a bunch of crap. But, you know, like I said, I don't think that people are inherently just mean. I just think they just don't know what to say. And I think there's, you know, again, I think our friends try to fix us. They don't want to see us hurting. And I think family does that too. You know, family does that too. They want to fix us. I did see something really cool today. There was a saying, it says, I really wish that RIP meant return if possible. So I thought that was really cool. If RIP meant return if possible. So I thought that was really, really neat. But anyway, so yeah, that was some of the interesting things on friendship and pet loss today. But yeah, it's I don't know. Like I said, it's definitely a touchy topic, and one that a lot of people face. You tell me in the chat, is this a lot of, I mean, when you were going through it, is this something you saw a lot? Did you see a lot of insensitivity that's surrounded? Did you get a lot of insensitive comments? If so, where did you see it? Did you get insensitivity at vets' offices? Did you get insensitivity at work? Where did you see it the most? Was it friends? Was it family? You know, I mean, when I was doing pet loss and support meetings, the majority of bad comments usually came, honestly, it usually came from family. Which, you know, if you go with the old, oh, Coco, she eats these bones and then she eats them too fast, and then it's like she wants to just hurl them up. But the but it always seems to come from family, which what's the old saying is like, you hurt the ones you love the most, or the ones that are closest to you. And it always seemed like it was like the kids of like the elderly parents. And I don't know if it was because like, the kids were out of the house. Lord Jesus. I don't know if it was because the kids were out of the house and, the parents were like seniors, or, and, when you're older and you don't have, well, I can't even say that anymore because like, I have kids in the house and I still spend a lot on my dogs. Or I still, put a lot in my dogs, but, I don't know if it was a jealousy thing or what the deal was, but it always just seemed like the older, like adult kids would get jealous of the parents and the money that they spent on their dogs, or but when the dogs would die, the kids would just get like so bent out of shape over like what their parents would do. Oh, mom's doing this, or not putting away the bowls, or or not, just a bunch of crap. And it's like, why? So what? So what? As long as they're not doing anything harmful or unhealthy for them, there's nothing wrong with it. It's people can grieve. I don't know why people are afraid to let people grieve. It's not shameful to have emotions over pets. Pets are living creatures. They're, creatures that give unconditional love. It's not, and again, maybe that's why these channels like this are important, so that people can see that, yeah, this is, these are living, breathing creatures that, are important, and they mean something to people. So, isn't that right, Rosie? She's not even paying attention to me. Come here. So, and it's the pet industry is a billion-dollar industry. And I know Patty's looking at me right now saying that I've got dog ears above my head because I just looked up and saw the dog ears above my head. And I know that's what she's going to say, is that I've got dog ears above my head. But yeah, it is very important. But I mean, that's what people are going to say. They're going to say that, hang on. They're going to say that there's no reason. They're going to say that there's no reason to to grieve these little guys who give us unconditional love, and that they're just dogs. Even though when Rosie and I were watching our reality TV earlier today, our trash TV today, and because we watch the same shows. It's they keep us going, right? And she does. She watches trash TV with me, but they're very important, right? Very, very important. So stinky, but no, she had a bath yesterday. She's not a stinky potato. She had a bath yesterday, and so did Coco. Coco had a bath yesterday too. Coco likes her baths. Well, so does a potato. She's not stinky though. She had her bath. But yeah, so I've got where is it at here? I've got my, speaking of which, I just looked down and I saw my two books. I've got my, Rosie's looking. Thank you. Oh, thank you. She just looked, I wasn't touching your butt. She looked at me like, you touching my butt for? No, thank you. Yeah, I'm getting ready to take him outside to sit outside on the back deck with him here in a little bit. Thank you, thank you. I know. Well, you know what? It's funny because usually this is like the time like they go through where they get like uh summer allergies, and for some reason they haven't been getting allergies. So, which is good. I don't know, knock on whatever this is here, but they haven't gotten allergies yet this year. Um, so that's a very, very good thing. I don't know why, which is I don't know if the pollen count has been down or anything, um, but they have not gotten any allergies. So that is very, very a good thing. But, and then like Coco's over there eating her bone, and she's probably going to throw it up or something here shortly. But anyway, so, um, yeah, anyways, so again, June is our Pet Memorial Month. We are going to have our Frenchie Friday, so that will be on Friday. And then, like I said, we will continue the shows as scheduled. Again, I apologize for last Friday. We had so much stuff going on with my work and everything else, and it was such a bummer. A lot of just really, really stressful things going on there, which was just not fun. I hate when that stuff goes on. But needless to say, just glad to be back. Glad to be back. But any requests or dedications? I can't believe we're in June already, right? June is already here. I mean, we are almost like, I mean, just how this year has gone by. Wow. Crazy, right? Just crazy, crazy. It's already June. And I mean, the way this year has flown by, um, exciting thing. I'm working on a children's book, so hopefully that should be out here. I have actually was looking for an illustrator for the book, and a guy from my work, his daughter just graduated from college, and so she's going to work on the illustrations for me. So hopefully that should be published by the hopefully by August. So look for that. So that should be interesting. But anyway, so I will get this candle ready to be lit. Anybody has any names you want to put into the chat, please go ahead. This is going to be for, again, you've lost a dog this week, last week, any time of the year, in the past, or whenever. It doesn't even have to be for dog, it could be for bird, any kind of animal that you've lost. You know, this is for all of them, and any kind, again, any kind of, geez Louise, that was really, really bright, but put that there. And again, we will be again coming back for Frenchie Friday on Friday, and also going to be introducing something fun as well. I'm going to start doing call-ins, so be looking forward to that. So going to have start having people calling in, so that should be interesting. Just have to figure out how the the moderator can start moderating that. So we'll see how that'll shake out, because she's really quick with she's really quick with what do you call it? Getting what do you call it? Cycling, or moderating people, so to speak. So, anyways, so yes, the candle is it for all the ones that we loved and all the unconditional love that has been given to us. If you know anybody that is, I know, if you know anybody that is in need of pet loss and support, please send them here on Tuesdays. If you don't have a friend, you have one now. Thank you guys so much for all of your love and support, and your wonderful sense of humor and friendship. We really, really appreciate everybody. And Oh, your guinea pig. Oh, yay. I know. I have, I'm sorry. If your picture's on the internet, then you are all, everybody you are all at high risk of getting your picture AI'd with me in it. So just saying, you're all subject to AI and part of my my fun and my laughter. So just I hope you enjoyed as much as I do. So, but anyways, again, I so appreciate everybody that hops on here and just you know has fun and enjoys me or joins me on uh, these lives. I really appreciate it. It means more to me than you know. But please, if you can, send people over. And again, if you don't have a friend, you have one now. We will see you on Frenchy Friday at 8 or yeah, we'll do it at 8 o'clock. That'll be a little bit easier. Thank you, thank you. You know what? And it's funny that you say that, Michelle, because everybody makes fun of my AI. The moderator makes fun of my little AIs, and so does my son. But I love them, so I don't care. I don't care. I'll put all these AIs on my website. So but I think they're adorable. I think they're so cute. So anyways, but until Friday, I hope everybody has a safe week, a safe week, and enjoy the weather. We still got plenty of time tonight to go sit outside um and just be safe. Please be safe. And I again I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. And we will see you on Friday. Friday. Have a good night. Take care. See you later.